looking at certain things, why do you want to look at the minimum as opposed to looking at what the maximum impact you could actually make? I mean,
that's a good point.
I guess that's kind of how I've always looked at a learning situation, or even a teaching situation. Like if I'm teaching a student, what's the maximum impact I can make on this student, as opposed to, okay, I'm just making sure they get past this, make sure they get past that, things like that. So,
well, even by the language they're using, that attitude, get past what? It's like, is education is not an obstacle, right? Like you're acting like that's acting like you're just trying to pass the hurdles. You know what I mean? Like
well, I mean, it brings up a good point. I think some people see education or some type of learning instance as almost painful as opposed to enjoyable.
I think that's also because they're being taught in that regard, where
Sure.
tests, where education needs, and this is the issue where it also, I mean, it goes down to another issue of, is the person who is teaching qualified to teach? This is not saying they are not knowledgeable, but are they qualified to teach? Can they, in fact, have they shown that they can, in fact, have leadership ability? Do they have communication ability? Can they explain things succinctly? Can they show it in a way that makes sense? And most importantly, can they get the students to produce or understand or show that they, or in some way demonstrate that they understand what's going on?
Right.
If you don't have an environment that allows for that, you are going to make people feel like they're in pain when they go to your class. Yes. And I'm speaking as somebody who, I mean, you teach as well. Teaching is kind of more of my main gig. This is the thing I always try to do when I'm teaching, is I try to get them to show me that they understood what's going on. Even if that doesn't happen, then you can kind of re-navigate that person to at least understand where they went wrong. You know, when you get, this is why I hate worksheets. You know what I mean? Like, that's why it's like, it was just like, I'll show the answer. Okay, they're gonna write down the answer. Do they understand the problem?
Yeah. Yeah, so, exactly.
I think it gets into that, where it's like, minimum, maximum, you can get people to write things down on the sheet, right?
Yeah.
But I think the maximum is actually showing them how to, you know, read the question on the sheet.
Right. And I've noticed, you know, a lot of times the attitude is, as long as I get the result, who cares? Well, maybe not, because maybe it's a developmental exercise that you're actually going through. And that's some of the things that I'm trying to get through, even my kids. You know, I'm telling them, like, look, you know, especially when they're working on math stuff. I mean, that's kind of my alley, you know. And it's like, look, don't just write down the answer. Why is it this answer? I mean, if you want, you can go to a calculator, punch the numbers in a calculator, and write down what you just did.
Oh God, yeah, like the
show how you came up with this. Don't just bleh. Here, bleh. It's right here, bleh. And it goes back to the one example. I mean, I think this is one of those things that hits me in the face as one of my prime examples in martial arts. It was a time when I was teaching at a school, at a location, and I had several students. I mean, I was instructed to go through several kata, and when I was going through it, I was on the very first one, which was Narachi Shodan. After we did it, I'm like, that doesn't feel right. Something's not right. Something's not right. Something's not right. And I go back and look at, I always try to go back to these teachable moments, not just for the people I've taught, but also for myself as well. I think that makes me a better instructor if I'm not willing to go look at that. But I look at that situation also from now is every one of those, I wouldn't say everyone, almost every one of those people that I was instructing in this way wanted the bare minimum so they can move on. And it's kind of that checklist mentality. Boom. Okay, I've done this. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on. What can you gain out of it? You know, that was something that I learned after the fact, but
Right.
that's okay. I mean, it is what it is. So
It is what it is. But
yeah,
what it is I feel it's something where it's like minimal conditioning, right?
yes,
Where we are conditioned, we are either conditioned by society or we have some sort of drive inside of us, or we have some sort of natural feeling to only exert as much as you actually need. There's good and bad about that. There's certain times when you only need to do minimal, and that's okay. But when you're over conditioned to only do the minimum, right?
hmm,
And then you get something from that, you're essentially getting a false accomplishment, a
right,
false sense of accomplishment.
right.
Right?